And welcome back to the channel. I'm Mr. Carnage, and during this video we're going to dive in a little bit more about some of the interesting things that are going on. Now, this isn't new news, but there's some new takes on what's going on, and that is it's been a few years now that's been floating around that Nvidia was going to buy ARM, an acquisition, and that the Chinese government put a kibosh on it and said, no, it's not going to happen. But the thing is that Nvidia and ARM already agreed to a sale, right? So paperwork's done, everything's out on the table. Now, the only thing that's blocking this acquisition is the Chinese government, because they're using the China's anti-monopoly laws, and they believe that Nvidia will then control the entire tech market in China. And Nvidia is actually kind of anti-China government, so to speak. They don't particularly like the communist side of the Chinese government. So, needless to say that they're not a fan of Nvidia's plan to acquire ARM. Now, I tend to agree, which I can't believe I'm saying, that I don't hope it happens, because the reason Nvidia wants to buy ARM is to make everything about Nvidia proprietary, meaning Nvidia-based motherboards with Nvidia-based ARM processors, with Nvidia-based graphics processors, and it's going to cut out a lot of the middlemen, really, because they'll be able to manufacture their own chips. There won't be anybody to stop them from just doing whatever the hell they want. And that's a big deal. Now, ARM, they weren't really a threat when they first came out. So basically how the story is in the 80s, when we first got the x86 chip, it took quite a bit of power. And ARM's take on it at the time was they wanted to make a processor that basically runs on as little electricity as possible and can still perform well. And it was actually a complete fuck up of how it even happened. They made the processor and they didn't even plug in the power supply. And they kicked the damn thing on and it worked. Just off the electricity and the capacitors on the board. It worked, even without it being plugged in. So they actually stumbled upon this whole thing as a complete accident. So over the years, ARM has made chips solely based on less power, right? You find them in your phones, your tablets, things like that. iPhones, Android phones, just that kind of stuff. So they realized that they couldn't compete with the x86 market, right? Because at that time, already, the 386 came out, and the 386 did phenomenally well, right? So nobody was going to compete with that. They knew they weren't going to, change the minds of the computer hardware manufacturers to base ARM, and that it was all going to be x86, and that's exactly what happened. So now, if Nvidia, with their cool and quiet technology and some of the other patents they have, were to incorporate ARM into the Nvidia family to where now they can compete with Intel and AMD on a CPU level, not just a GPU level, that could cause some problems pretty much for everybody, right? Because it's going to start forcing it to be like the console world almost. Like, PlayStation is PlayStation, Xbox is Xbox, Nintendo is Nintendo. None of their shit works with each other at all. They're all very sole separate entities. And that could end up being what happens here. Nvidia is Nvidia, AMD is AMD, Intel is Intel. And the parts don't work together, and you're going to have to buy specific parts just for an AMD build, or, so on and so forth. And that I never wanted for the computer market, ever, right? I like to buy parts the way I buy parts, and I like the fact that, if I have one build and I decide, hey, I'm going to switch to an Intel build, I could use the same, video card, the same memory, the same power supply, etc., etc. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm leading with this. So, I hope, me personally, this does not happen. However, an update just 2 days ago is that the Nvidia is getting closer to getting their way with this ARM acquisition. So, a lot of shit's changing. I mean, we got new players in the video card market. There's even a rumor that Microsoft is getting a huge sum of federal money from the federal government to start chip manufacturing to build American-based computer parts. I hope that happens. Personally, I mean, yeah, it'd be great if it was a different company other than Microsoft because, well, Microsoft. But I like the idea because we could have it where we kind of cut off the dependence of the Chinese manufacturers, because silicon's actually developed here. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know this, but we don't build chips here. We have silicon. We send the silicon in a trade to China. China then turns that silicon around into chips and then sells them to America. It's a whole fucking cycle, right? So it doesn't make sense if we could just skip the middleman, and it's all based on basically low labor. That's all it comes down to, is that American-made chips and computer parts will cost more money than buying them from China. Yes, this is true. But when you are already paying $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 for a graphics card, it would actually be cheaper to just make the damn card here in America with American parts and American chips. It would still be cheaper to do. I mean, yeah, if it goes back to the MSRP, buying an American-based video card would probably cost a little bit more money than buying one from China, but I'm willing to pay the extra money to cut this out, because this is now the third time this has happened in this cycle from the Chinese manufacturers. And I think that, personally, if you don't think so, that's fine, but I personally think that they're doing it on purpose, because they're getting so much more money and so much more return for what they're doing with, graphics cards, processors, etc., that they're making a killing off of us. And I feel that this inflation in its entirety is mostly their fault. Yes, the miners are a problem. Sorry, guys. I'm not trying to be mean, but you guys snatch up every graphics card you can find. Then you basically use the hell out of that thing until it's, screaming in pain, and then you turn around and sell it to a poor, guy who works 2 jobs and has to eat fucking ramen noodles for, 2 times the MSRP for a used card. I'm not a fan of that. If there was a better way to go about it, that would be better. Now, is it all about making money? Of course it is. I'm just not that kind of person. See, even some of the other channels, they're sponsored. They have all these computer parts around them. They do all of these things. And hardly any of them ever do giveaways or take requests or anything like that. Like, hey, man, will you build me a computer, for cost or anything like that? Now, see, if I was sponsored and I was getting all these parts, that's exactly what I'd do. Every week we'd have, giveaways, sweepstakes, stuff like that. At least Linus was honest, from day one. He's like, yeah, I use everything that they give me in mining rigs, right? But a lot of the other channels, they're like, oh, we don't mine. We have no idea, Yeah, they do. All the shit that they get from Micro Center for free and Newegg for free and all of that, once they show it off in their video, that's exactly where it goes. It goes into a bunch of mining rigs. I guarantee it. So, that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. But anyways, back to the point here. So yeah, what do you guys think? Are you for Nvidia acquiring ARM? Do you think it's a bad idea like I do? Let me know in the comments below. And with that being said, if you want to be a sweetie, please hit the subscribe button so you can join the Carnage family. I'd love to see you guys around and have you in the comment section. And definitely, hopefully, we'll catch you all in the next video.